My grandson came here the other day. Oh, he's a nice boy. Gregory, that's his name. I call him my grandson. Well, he is. He came with my daughter's marriage. He's a nice lad. He wears those glasses, you know, the big thick ones that make your eyes look bigger than they really are. And he has a plaster on one eye. They say it's making the other eye stronger, and it's working, so that's good. Well, I tucked him into bed, and he said, Grandma, can I read Grandad's old annuals? I said, of course you can. I said, not too long though, because Grandma's got plans. And I tapped my nose like this. He said, oh, Grandma, I do love you. He said, you're the best friend ever. I said, I love you too, because I do. He warms my aching heart. Well, I left it a while and then I got into bed. And I thought, why don't you try that new online purchase? Well, why not? There's not been a lot of excitement in my bedroom for a while. My Malcolm's been ill for 2 years. The only thing he ever called for was the bottle. And I don't mean the drink. No, he couldn't get out to the toilet. His mobility was bad. So I switched on my new online purchase. My God, it buzzed. It was like a bee buzzing round the room. But it hit the spot. It was a bit quick, so I had another go. Lasted a bit longer. And then I went out to the toilet. My knees were weak. Gosh, it's been a long time since I've had feelings like that, I might tell you. And you know, I didn't give it another thought until in the morning I went downstairs. Gregory was sitting at the table. I said, do you want cereals or toast, love? He said, Grandma, you cleaned your teeth for ages last night. I said, what do you mean? He said, I heard you. It buzzed and buzzed and buzzed. I knew then. I stuck my head in the cupboard. I was in a bit of a fluster. I said, that was Grandma's friend. He said, I thought I was your friend, Grandma. I said, you are, Gregory. I said, but you have friends in the playground, and that's Grandma's bedtime friend. And then, as luck happened, I spotted a cereal packet with a free gift on. I said, oh, look, Gregory, you get a free gift with this one. It was Cocoa Pops. He tipped them in his bowl and a little green mouse fell out. Green mouse, I ask you. Whoever's seen a green mouse? But Gregory didn't mind. He walked him round the cereal bowl a couple of times. I said, go on, love, upstairs and clean your teeth. I threw the remains of the chocolate-covered milk in the sink, and the little mouse nearly went down the plug hole, but I fished him out. Well, he saved my bacon, so I sat him on the shelf. Now, me and Gregory, we had a lot of fun in the garden. We turned Malcolm's old wheelbarrow into a pirate ship. We even painted a skull and crossbones flag, and I dragged my old clothes prop across and propped it up there. Looked just like a pirate ship. And that night, when we sat together in the chair, he said, can we have a story, Grandma? I said, of course we can. I went up and I got Pirate Pete. He likes that because his dad's called Pete. And you know what? I spotted Malcolm's dressing gown and I thought, we'll have that too. Malcolm used to like listening to our stories. He'd sit with his oxygen and his nose covered in plastic as I rattled on. I put Gregory in the dressing gown. It swooped him. We were just getting to the bit where the treasure was going to be discovered and the battle began. When I heard the door go, my daughter let herself in. She never knocks because she kept the key when she got married. She didn't say hello, she just stared at us. She made me feel like we were doing something wrong. Then she started. She said, what do you think you're doing? I said, we're reading. She started pulling at poor Gregory's arms to get the dressing gown off. The child protested. He said, Grandma says Grandad's holding me in his arms. She said, go on, get upstairs. I said, go on, love, get your things together. I knew I was in for an ear bashing. He hadn't even got up 3 steps before she started. She said, my God. She just stopped then. She said, you're weird. Weird? I said, weird, am I? She said, yeah, weird, sitting him like that. I said, we weren't hurting anybody. She said, Mum, you need to get out more. She said, you need to get some friends of your own. Before I could defend myself, Gregory said, Nana does have a friend. She comes of an evening and cleans her teeth. My heart nearly missed a beat. But my daughter, she was focused on Gregory because that lad had coloured his plastered eye in black crayon. He looked like a pirate. She said, "Look at you, Gregory." Then she turned her attention to me. She said, "This is all your fault. You fill his head with these silly ideas." She said, "We've got the hospital tomorrow. What am I going to tell them when I take him with his eye covered in black pen?" I said, "For goodness sake, Denise, they'll think their child has got an imagination." She said, "You're a bad influence on him." That's what she said. Bad influence. She said, "Sitting him in a dead man's clothes." That was it. My heckles went up. I said, "Dead man, is that how you see your father?" I said, "He was sitting in your father's dressing gown." And I said it slowly, so she would really sink in. She did look down. She looked a bit sheepish. She said, "You do need to get out more, Mum. And tomorrow I'm going to come round and I'm going to clear Dad's clothes out the wardrobe. And I'm going to take him to the charity shop." I didn't say anything. I couldn't. I was too upset. Gregory knew I was upset. He knew his mum was upset. Perhaps he thought we were upset with him, but I wasn't. So I gave him a sly little wink, just so he'd know. I didn't want to be here today, so I went to the library. I certainly didn't want to be here when my daughter arrived. There was a nice lady at the library. She was modern. She was about my age, but she had bright pink hair and a little stud in her nose. And I thought it would be good to meet some new friends. I told her about this and she found me some leaflets. She said there's a knit and natter group, or there's a find your inner self with the paintbrush. She said you could go walking for the lonely hearts, but the one that caught my eye was the dancing. Well, me and Malcolm used to dance at weddings and parties. We weren't very good, but he would bop around with me if he had a few beers in his belly. So I took this leaflet home and I thought about it and I put the music on. Chubby Checker blared out "Twist Again." So it was a good one to dance with. I was moving my hips sexily, doing a little bit of twisting. It was lovely. I thought I'd try and do those Strictly moves and look a bit sexy. I even picked the cushion up. I was giving it a cuddle, imagining it was Malcolm. I even kissed it, lost myself in the moment. And as I spun round, there was my daughter, looking horrified. She said, "Mum, are you mad?" I didn't say anything. She said, "I came round this morning to help you clear Dad's things away. Had you forgotten?" I said, "No, I hadn't forgotten. And no, I'm not mad. I don't want you to throw your father's things out." She said, but what do you think you were doing?" Her tone had changed. She wasn't angry. She was like pitying me. I said, "I spent a lot of years with your father, and you don't know what it's like being a woman of my age on her own. I do want some friends. You were right, so I was doing what you said." She said, "Yeah, but you were dancing with the cushion." I wondered if she'd seen me kiss it. She sat on the stool, and we had a cup of tea, and things were a little easier between us for a little while, until she started up again, and she said, "Who is this friend that Gregory tells me comes here of an evening? Are you going to go dancing with her?" I said, "No, love. I want a proper friend. A friend I can share things with. Personal, like I did your father." She said, "Well, can't you share things with her?" I said, "No, I can't." But she wouldn't give over. She kept on and on prying. In the end, I said to her, "Denise, my friend that Gregory's referring to is a vibrator." Oh, you should have seen her face. She said, "What are you saying things like that for?" I said, "Because it's true." She said, "You haven't got a vibrator." I said, "You do know what a vibrator is, don't you?" And I picked up my spoon that I'd been stirring my tea with. I said, "It vibrates on you." She said, "Shut up. You're being disgusting." I said, "Disgusting, am I? Since when has sex been disgusting? I enjoyed that side of my marriage and I missed it. Your father was ill for 2 years." She said, "For goodness sake, I don't want to hear it." I said, "Well, if you think sex is disgusting, then I say poor Pete if every time he wants to get his leg over." She said, "Oh, Mum, you don't hear Mary talking like that. And she's been a widow for 6 years." She was referring to her mother-in-law. "I like Mary. She's a nice, easy-going lady. But I said to her, don't you kid yourself. I said, Mary's at that stables 3 days a week, bobbing up and down on that horse, getting a thrill off the saddle. She said, shut up, I don't want to hear any more. And you know, she put her hands over her ears. She said, I'm going. I don't know what's got into you. I was just about to say a little bit extra, and she said, no, I don't want to hear another word, and she slammed the door. I guess I'll be punished. Probably won't be allowed to have Gregory for a few weekends. In the evening, I sat in my chair, and the phone rang. It was Chelsea. She's my younger daughter. She's easier going, she's more like me. I said, I've had a run-in with Denise. She said, what's new? I said, haven't you heard? She said, I've heard you got a friend and that you went out and didn't clear Dad's things out. I said, what did she say about my friend? She said she didn't, just that you had a friend, and I thought you might like to bring her up when you come at the weekend. She sounds interesting. I said, oh, Chelsea. I said, she might not be interesting. And then I said it. I said, but she's certainly stimulating.